Hi, my name is Justin Bonus. I'm a post-conviction lawyer. Well, I'm a criminal defense lawyer that specializes in post-conviction. My client is Kelvin Leardom. Kelvin, since day one, has said he's innocent in the case against him. His co-defendant was Max B., another co-defendant named Gina Conway. They were accused of robbing one man and killing another man in Bergen County, New Jersey. Specifically with Kelvin's case, like I said, Kelvin's always claimed he's innocent. He's got 3 alibis, and then another person who basically, the theory of the case is that there was a conspiracy where Gina Conway, who's a co-defendant and a witness against Kelvin and Max, there was a conspiracy to rob 2 men in Bergen County. And one of the allegations is that Kelvin met with Max B. in Harlem at a basketball court on the night when the murder happens, and one witness testifies at trial that says that's not true. And then Kelvin, in a later motion, presented 3 alibi witnesses. Those alibi witnesses make it clear that Kelvin couldn't have been a part of the murder. They basically lay out the framework that Gina Conway's testimony, it's just not true. The other issue with Kelvin's case that is really concerning is the identification. The main description, the only description of this person that commits the robbery, Gina goes there with the perpetrator. She's identified as as one of the people that enters the hotel room, because it's a hotel in Bergen County. The description of the black male, there is a description of a black male, is 5'6". Kelvin Leardom is about 6 foot, 6'1". I mean, the description in this case is totally off. Multiple witnesses were exposed to suggestive identification procedures, namely 2 of them for the first time when they testified against Kelvin Leardom, identified him at trial, which is, there's no other way to say than that's the most suggestive form of identification, because he's sitting at the defense table with his attorney. This is the case against Kelvin Leardom, and Gina Conway's cooperation. She has an ultimate motive to lie in this case. There's the evidence against Kelvin is just, it points to another person. And when you look at that in combination with his alibi witnesses, it's three people who said that he was not there that night. There's no possibility that he took part in this conspiracy and the murder robberies that happened in this case, and that's why I believe he's innocent. You see it every day in post-conviction cases and wrongful conviction cases, where you can even read the trial minutes and a description is of somebody else. You can read the trial minutes, and there were photo arrays in this case where Kelvin Leardom was in the photo arrays and he wasn't identified, yet he was still picked out in court by witnesses. And it pops off the page even from the trial transcript. So that's why, number one, I believe Kelvin's innocent, and that's why I'm fighting to have him released from prison.
If I can add, my name is Derek Hamilton. I am the prior legal for Justin Bonus. I was wrongly convicted and served 21 years in prison for a murder that I did not commit. I am on this team believing Kelvin's innocence for several reasons already mentioned by Justin. But one of the things I want to indicate is that the trial jury never heard his alibi defense, which is that he was somewhere else at the time of the murder. That jury heard that evidence, or court gave him a hearing for the probative value of the evidence to be evaluated. Kelvin would be home now; he wouldn't be sitting in prison. So I think that that's a very, very evident nature of him being somewhere else, couldn't have been at the place when the murder happened. Speaks volumes as to his innocence. And secondly, the identification, the in-court identification, for the first time a witness is coming in court and saying it was him, is prejudicial, because it never came out that these witnesses really couldn't identify Kelvin, or the suggestive natures of what occurred, that they were so positive in the trial. If I first say I don't know somebody, and later on come in and say I know them, there had to be some things that happened in the middle that was never discovered. How can you be so sure now when you wasn't sure in the beginning? And those things have been identified by a lot of different task forces on wrongful conviction as inherent prejudicial identification procedures. Calvin didn't have a double blind lineup, which is where the police officers don't know who the suspect is, so they can't suggest to the victim or witnesses who to pick out. We believe that happened in this case because there's no other explanation as to how a person first couldn't identify him, later on come to court and say that they are 100% positive that it was him. And finally, I would like to just say that Calvin needs your support. If there's anybody out there that can produce any evidence or assist him financially, he needs it. Because he's an innocent man in prison, and I know more than anybody what it feels like to be sitting in prison for a crime you didn't commit and not to have the resources you need to pay the money that's required for identification experts, that's required for investigations to be done, and things of that nature. Calvin's trial lawyer failed him. They didn't present his alibi evidence. They didn't present expert testimony. They did nothing to meet the prosecutor case. We are trying to be just the opposite of that. And in order to do that, we need your assistance. Thank you. Good?
Good.